On May 1st, Wang Yibo's literacy effect dragged down the box office. Han Han PK Han Han became the big winner on the evening of May 3rd. The box office war on May 1st, 2023 came to an end. With a total box office of $1.51 billion, the comedy Unfamiliar Life became the box office champion. After the collective withdrawal of files and the closure of theaters in 2022, only two new films, I Really Hate Long Distance Relationship and Alliance of Bad Guys, were released on May 1st, the coldest day in history. In 2023, nearly 20 the most crowded May 1st file movie Decisive Battle will be ushered in theaters. So many movies have flocked to it, changing the limited gameplay that has been dominated by domestic youth romance movies and foreign blockbusters for nearly a decade. This year, three main theme films will be released on May 1st, Wang Yibo's first appearance in King of the Sky, which won the Best Pre-Sale in the controversial Shocking Rescue in the Road Show, and Wang Jingyu's first film appearance, Inspection Situation. There are also two youth romance films So Many Years and the Suspected Plagiarism Say I Love You, a comedy film Strange Life, and a feature film Changsha Nightlife. Including the high reputation IP movie Slam Dunk Drawn in April is still in theaters, and audiences do have a lot of choices in theaters. For the films released on May 1st in the past 10 years, in 2023, the habit of film genre rankings was changed, and finally handed over the third place in the box office. The two highest-grossing films on May 1st this year were both produced by Han Han's company Dingdong Films, and the former screenwriter became the biggest winner. Han Han PK Han Han King of the Sky, which has experienced the turmoil of last year's National Day withdrawal, entered the May 1st file as the main theme movie, which is really surprising and reasonable. Originally, the May 1st file was a platform for foreign blockbusters and romance films to compete. On May 1st, Titanic, Fast and Furious series and Avengers 4 have been rescreened and won the championship. The number of imported films has dropped sharply in the past 2 years. The champions Your Wedding and I Really Hate Long Distance Relationships on May 1st are also low-budget romance films. King of the Sky withdrew from the National Day file on September 27 last year, but did not choose to compete with Men Jinghong and Wandering Earth 2 in the Spring Festival file. Instead, we waited an extra period of time and competed with big productions to reduce dimensionality. On May 1st this year, there were no foreign blockbusters and a bunch of low-cost movies. Although leading, but only 10 days after the pre-sale, the answer sheet of barely over 100 million was handed over. On the third day of its release, the box office just exceeded 200 million, and the total box office of King of the Sky after May Day was only more than 500 million. You know, Avengers 4 will be released for 3 days in 2019, and the box office on the working day before the festival has exceeded 400 million. However, on the third day of its release, the box office of King of the Sky was evenly divided with Unfamiliar Life. On the fourth day of its release, the single-day box office of King of the Sky exceeded that of King of the Sky by nearly 30 million. In the end, Stranger Life stole the box office champion's schedule. The biggest producers of the two films are Han Han's Dingdong Pictures, so the strange phenomenon of Han Han beating Han Han was staged. Stranger Life ranked third in the pre-sale competition, which does not prevent it from breaking out in the schedule. On the third day of its release, the daily box office was basically the same as King of the Sky, with an attendance rate of 18.4%, much higher than the 11% of King of the Sky. With just 1 day left for the festival, a good-natured laugh at the cinema was exactly what was needed. It also made Stranger Life the new film with the highest attendance rate, the highest single-day box office, and the largest number of releases on May 1st, and finally became the box office champion on May 1st. Compared with the current box office of King of the Sky of 500 million yuan and a budget of 350 million yuan, the cost of delaying the release and high publicity costs are obviously not enough. Asai, Han Han, a rebellious writer in the past, has completely integrated into the mainstream in the past 10 years, entered the upper echelon of the film industry, and even started to produce the main theme of The King of the Firmament. His work has the authority he once despised. If Han Han, who made the astonishing statement "the literary world is OP" more than 10 years ago, is still there, how can you scold Han Han, who is now writing the main theme movie? Want to see. But now, will there be such a person? Illiteracy effect affects movies in the history of contemporary film. The United States has Top Gun, Russia has Sky, and India has 4 Seasons. The worksheet is empty. But military fans don't seem to buy it. A military fan told Spring and Autumn Entertainment, "You mentioned the King of Heaven to me because you look down on me as a military fan." For the so-called fourth-generation fighters, their combat systems are more digital and remote, and BVR strikes have been achieved, that is, The strikes have been completed before the fighters of both sides appear within the pilot's line of sight. In modern aerial combat, there will be no more two planes going head-to-head, or dogfights, hand-to-hand combat, tail-to-tail swinging back and forth. In the eyes of military fans, whether it is the first time that the third-generation aircraft chases the fourth-generation aircraft in King of the Sky, or the second time that the fourth-generation aircraft chases the fourth-generation aircraft, it is not like modern air combat, but more like what happened during World War II. Full stop. As for the plot rhythm and filming of King of the Sky, it is neither like a theater commercial film with logic routines specially designed for theaters, nor a movie, but more like a literary style, the art of film. The overall feeling of watching a movie is more like a promotional film. Its main creative team, director Liu Xiaoxi and screenwriter Gu Igwan, have experience in shooting many military-themed films, and the promotional film for the aircraft carrier Liaoning was produced by the director. During the pre-sale period, well-known film critics on social media platforms invited 5 stars to King of the Sky. As the second producer, Alibaba Pictures ticketing platform Taopiao scored 9.8 points, making people dumbfounded. In the end, it still depends on Douban to make up for it as a channel for ordinary audiences to speak. Douban scored 7.0, and finally dropped to 6.8. But to put it bluntly, although this movie has many of the above flaws, it is by no means a big bad movie without sincerity. As the main theme, it has achieved a sufficient market-oriented Douban score, maintaining a pass line, even 0.2 points higher than the champion's Stranger Life. So why is it ridiculed? That's right, Wang Yibo, who played this role for the first time, was actually the biggest flaw. In the professional version of Maoyan, the audience portrait of King of the Sky is 25% male versus 75% female. This military-themed movie ultimately attracts not military fans, but more female audiences of the leading actor Wang Yibo. There is a high probability that this movie can only be fanned by Wang Yibo's fans. The clue can be seen from the complaints of the audience. A popular short comment on Douban read, "I wonder if people who can't even pronounce idioms can understand the buttons on an airplane." More than 7,000 people liked it. The reason is not only the audience's disgust for traffic stars, but also the absolutely illiterate controversy caused by the Spring Festival stalls, which caused irreparable damage to Wang Yibo's image and lost his popularity. Acting skills cannot be improved quickly, but the image can be improved. Since the Spring Festival, we haven't seen Wang Yibo make any efforts to improve his image, except for Lihuai Entertainment's legal letter to complain about influential up owners. Therefore, no matter whether Wang Yibo and his fans feel wronged or not, if they still do not deal with the personal image issue and completely ignore the complaints from the outside world, then Wang Yibo and Wang Bo's Hot Blood, which is scheduled to be released in July, will also be strangled. Why is the box office champion the champion? Stranger Life can be regarded as a dark horse. Like King of the Sky, there is also a traffic star fan Cheng Chang, but the popularity of the latter has not yet collapsed, or the hatred is not prominent, so the movie itself is less affected. After the failure of The Last Amazing Night, Fan Cheng Cheng was finally complacent, and some media even called Fan Cheng Cheng beat Wang Yibo. It cannot be compared like this. Stranger Lives took the top spot, thanks to the movie itself. The viewing experience of this comedy is very similar to watching an offline talk show. Even on the basis of ensuring the character of the characters, the plot also makes way for jokes. There are a lot of funny emoticons intensively for the sake of funny, which is quite the service spirit of Don't Leave If You Are Unhappy When the Audience Comes Today. After all, movie tickets are still cheaper than talk show commercial tickets, which is a good deal. In 2015, the bad reviews of the big movie unexpectedly made Summon Beast Ye Xiaoxing almost turn gray overnight, if he had hair. The 2020 The Bathing King did not make things easier for the director of the first generation of online dramas, caught in a plagiarism storm, accused of outdated plot. Douban's score was only 0.3 points higher than the first one, and also made the audience feel that Summoning the Beast can only last 20 minutes. A short drama cannot hold up to a 100-minute movie consensus. The Summon Beast's repeated defeats and repeated battles did not prevent him from repeated defeats and repeated battles. It was released on May 1st this year, giving the director, who has been frustrated in the film industry for many years, a chance to return to the dark horse status. All in all, thousands of 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 first season was broadcast in 2013. After 10 years, Ye Xiaoxing became again it is a dark horse, but this time, it is not because Stranger Life is so good looking, but because the most important thing is the support of its peers. It has become the most worthy of admission among the new films on May 1st. Before May Day, so many years ranked second on the pre-sale list. In addition to the theme of love being a fixed program in this schedule, it is also because it is adapted from August Chang'an's novel of the same name. The original name of the network is Puppy Love, and it belongs to the Zhenhua youth universe like the TV series Hello, Old Times, Creative Love Why Non, The Best of Us, etc. It has a strong fan base and youth campus IP endorsement. So Many Years is the main control work released by Guangguang Production Company after Your Wedding in 2021 and I Really Hate Long Distance Relationship in 2022. It won the box office champion on May 1st for 2 consecutive times for several years. However, Guangguang seems to have a very thorough understanding of this gameplay. Although the assignments handed in were well received, they were not very popular. I Really Hate Long Distance Relationship scored 4.4 on Douban, and Your Wedding scored 4.7 on Douban. The theme and schedule of the movie were right, but the content was not up to standard. Regrettably, this year's brilliance still hasn't changed the situation of an instant hit. During the promotion and release stage of So Many Years, the release trailers and materials contained a lot of beautiful pictures, kissing scenes and scenes of Zhang Zicheng smoking. In the movie, there are no kiss scenes and smoking. This material is different from a feature film. The last one is The Corridor Pavilion, and the last one is the trailer directed by Wei Non. Perhaps it is because the film is not long enough to include all the details of the original book. The movie-going experience is like fast-forwarding a fragmented catalog. The quality of the scripts is not good, and the use of material editing to attract the audience into the arena leads to pitfalls one by one in the end. People can't help feeling, it's so difficult to watch people fall in love in the theater. There are also 2 new films, Countdown to Say I Love You and Changsha Nightlife, which accounted for less than 1% of the box office. The popularity of these 2 films may not be as high as the previous ones, but I don't know if Say I Love You is because of plagiarism, so it has been low-key. Nightlife in Changsha feels that there is no budget at all for the announcement. The movie has the highest double score of 51.7.2. In the end, both it and Say I Love You gradually became transparent during the schedule. On May 3rd, Zhang Yi, the director and screenwriter of Changsha Nightlife, posted a long post in Moment saying, "The bleak schedule makes me completely confused. Chinese films should be diversified, and this film should also allow more audiences to watch it." Arrive. Zhang Hongsun, the former deputy director of the State Administration of Radio, Film and Television and director of the Film Bureau, also published a long article thinking about should China's film supply-side structural reform be completed and how to complete it, speaking out for the bleak schedule of Changsha Nightlife. Structural reforms on the film industry side can be understood as the state encouraging more screenings, and multi-channel broadcasting. But the fact is that on May 3rd, Changsha Nightlife accounted for only 1.6% of the film schedule, and the single-day box office was only 1.34 million yuan. However, if you want to review, shouldn't you reflect on the topic first? Even the locals in Changsha thought it was a documentary, so they were not very interested, not to mention that audiences from other places would watch it. Hong Kong director lacks sincerity among the new films. 2 Hong Kong films seem to be in stock, Prosecution, which was completed in September 2020, they are also surprisingly similar in some ways. 1. Both are Hong Kong directors and mainland actors. 2. Both are films with the theme of showing the demeanor of Chinese professional groups. 3. The layout of the posters is similar. 4. Both were scheduled last year and then withdrawn. 5. Both films will be released this year. The box office accounted for less than 3% of the stalls on May 1st, and less than 5% of the stalls. As we all know in the industry, Yu Dong of Bona pioneered the main theme blockbuster production method of Hong Kong director plus mainland producer plus commercial type. After Bona successfully tested the waters, mainland filmmakers followed suit one after another, and it became a trend for famous Hong Kong directors to go north to shoot films with the main theme. Max Weifei filmed all the way from the Eavesdropping trilogy in Hong Kong to Integrity and Prosecution in the mainland. The dub and scores of his works also range from 7.6 to 6.4 to 5.4. As the director who has filmed Infernal Affairs, Prosecutor exposed Max Weifei's unfamiliarity with the mainland's public security system, presenting a blunt image of a prosecutor and a lawyer. The plot can be imagined. It is still a forced reversal, and the emotional line has no sense of CP. Let alone the best Max Weifei, this is not even an ordinary Max Weifei. It's not that there are crime-themed movies in Hong Kong, but they all focus on court scenes. And while Lun's The Poisonous Lawyer won the Hong Kong box office of a Chinese film, and He Jushin's The Corridor of Justice became the highest-grossing third-grade film in Hong Kong history, 40 million. Prosecutor Storm starring Wang Yibo was also a box office panacea. The films Flying Life and Operation Red Sea we participated in had box office of $1.7 billion and $3.6 billion respectively. Max Weifei led Wang Yibo to win the championship on May 1st. Wang Yibo didn't make good use of the $50 million box office, and didn't make a crime film that surpassed the new director. Max Weifei's performance this time is really unreasonable. Shocking Rescue was broadcast for 6 days, and the official Weibo stopped updating. When the film crew was on the roadshow at Peking University, the chemistry students borrowed the plot of the firefighter's body being corroded by strong acid in the film, and asked director Peng Shun, "Why is there a strong acid here? Why is there a strong acid? The clothes of the firefighters in the film are not resistant to acid." Peng Shun tricked the students into saying that the plot was real, and challenged him, "Would you, students, try soaking your legs in acid water?" This response is not only arrogant, but also a bit malicious, and it also secretly changed the core concept of the students' question. The final result is that Shocking Rescue, which once advertised that the production cost was as high as 350 million yuan, had a box office of only 35 million on May 1st, and only recovered 1/10 of the cost. Mizuo's badness and Peng Shun's arrogance are definitely not incapable, but lack of sincerity. Why do they still have a chance? Because they still have a market in the mainland. Max Weifei, who is on the unbroadcast list, also has The Big Bang Theory, and Peng Shun also has Crisis Route. It's just that such a low box office is not unacceptable at all, it's just using the jawbone to fool the crew and audience. Epilogue: this is not the best May 1st file, but it is a transition from bottoming out to booming again, a process of revitalization. In terms of the type of film list, after changing the habit of 10 years, it seems that so complicated, even lamenting whether they are a bit quick. But on the other hand, we have also seen that the audience's demand for movie theaters is still very high, which is completely unlike the panic and despair that the media lamented that movie theaters are dead last year. It's just that I didn't expect that Slam Dunk, which was released 2 weeks ago, was still the best one after watching the file on May 1st. After May 1st, Guardians of the Galaxy 3 was released simultaneously in American theaters on May 5th. Prior to this, the box office of Black Panther 2, Shazam 2, Ant-Man 3 and other super British movies dropped all over the mainland. As expected, can Marvel make a comeback this time? That's another story.